Welcome to Comadres y Comics. Comadres y Comics is a podcast hosted by 3 Latina women.
We highlight the Latinx presence in the comic book industry as creators, characters, and fans.
Join us as we talk chisme, comics, fandom, and beer. Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Comadres y Comics. This is episode 262. We are your hosts. I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Welcome back, ladies. Here we go again. I'm so excited. Let's jump right into it.
I'm going to have that song stuck in my head now all night. Here we go again on my own. Going down the only road
I've ever known.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. Now it's time for Chisme de la Semana. And I got some chisme that apparently has been chisme for a while now, but I just found this out. Border X Brewery in San Diego in Barrio Logan officially closed permanently at the end of 2024. It was a struggle to stay open after COVID-19 during that pandemic, and the brewery, known for its culturally inspired beers like horchata stout and abuelita's chocolate stout. Remember those guys? They were really good.
Yeah.
Had been a decade-long fixture in the neighborhood before falling on hard times. It basically, they faced a lot of financial hardships, and also I think their business license was expired, I believe. And of course, there was a decline in sales, so they have closed. Very surprising to me. I remember we went to the Bell when they had their inaugural party. I got a free T-shirt. It was really, really cool, and it's sad to see that. I think. Right? Oh my goodness.
No.
And also, I think they were the first Latino-owned brewery out there. So that was, in general, like the first Latino-owned brewery, which is kind of very sad, I have to say. So they actually went to GoFundMe to help out, but I think it couldn't sustain that. And that was what happened. It's very, very sad. It was located in Barrio Logan, and it was like a real staple for a few years. We actually, I think, went twice during San Diego Comic Con, and their beers were really delicious. They really formed a big part of the community and also helped launch Mujeres Brewhouse, which is a woman-owned brewery, and they are still open. I'm excited for that. I'm glad that they're still open. So, I'm sure they're two different entities, but they helped launch them. So that's gotta hurt. Yeah. Yeah. The expiration of their lease was December 2024. So that's when they ended up closing out. I was told that there were some outstanding debts that were not paid as well. That's some chisme. Not sure if it's true or not, but eso es lo que dicen las malas lenguas. So that sucks,
and we're not
man.
malas lenguas.
No, we're just lenguas. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a chisme. It's a sad chisme, but we've always kind of said, hey, check out Barrio Logan. There's a really great brewery there called Border X, and unfortunately they are no longer there, but definitely give Mujeres Brewhouse a try because they are women Latinas owning that brewery. So check them out. All right, guys. Now it's time for On My Radar. Kristen, what is on your radar?
Okay, so on my radar today is a podcast. The name of the comic is called Murder Podcast. But it is a new comic being produced and distributed by Ignition Comics. It's a new comic book company, Ignition Press, and they are going to be releasing this on September 10th. And it's written by Jeremy Hahn and illustrated by Mike Tisserand. And it's basically a comic story about a mysterious podcast that has appeared in the feed on your phone. You don't remember subscribing to it. Do you press play anyway? Remember the U2 album that showed up on everyone's phone?
Yep.
So,
And
what
everybody
could be the
was
harm?
pissed off.
Yep. What could be the harm? Plenty, as it turns out. Listeners of Dead Sounds are going on murderous rampages, and they don't stop until everyone around them is dead. It begs the question, who will be next? For Mina and her friends, true crime programs provide them with endless fodder for conversation. They love talking about their favorite series and poring over the clues to solve the killings. They can only hope that all of this listening has prepared them for what they find when they find themselves wrapped up in a deadly plot that could be fodder for a podcast all its own.
Oh, that's a really great concept because podcasts are really, really popular right now. And it's almost kind of crazy. You have a podcast about a podcast that appeared on your phone. That is super cool. Like, that's kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is this a limited series?
That comes out September 10th. It is actually. It says here. I believe so, but it doesn't say how many issues it will be. So I'm not sure.
I mean, usually limited series, they can be anywhere from like 3 to 12 issues. So
That's true.
perhaps.
Well, that sounds exciting. And since it's coming out September 10th, you can definitely call your local comic book shop. They possibly can't pre-order it now because FOC is probably done, but definitely check it out. Put it on your pull list because that sounds super interesting. And it sounds a little bit dark, like maybe like, I don't know, horror kind of cool for the season.
Yes. And you can go directly to ignitionpress.com and order it from them if your comic shop hasn't ordered it.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. All right, guys, now it's time for our book review. What are we reviewing today, ladies? I think we were reading this off of Hoopla, so that's a first for me, but I got really excited because they had issue 2 on Hoopla as well. And sorry, we haven't even said what we're reading, ladies. Sorry.
I know. I don't have access to mine here. Let's see. Let me open Hoopla.
I think it's called Lucha Forever.
Yes. I want to see if there's a little
Yes, and the
though.
writer is John Aviña with the ñ. The artist is Mozart Eros, and the colorist is Julio Santos, and letter is Spacely X. I like that, Spacely X.
Yes.
Yes, so it's really, really quite something. You can find out more about these creators on www.comicerpress.com. That's COMICKERPRESS.com. That's Comicer Press.
So you can, from my phone, you can sort of, I need to turn down the brightness on here so it's a little bit more visible. No, don't look at my notifications. Here we go.
Oh, yes, we could see it. Lucha Forever.
So it was, honestly, like, Kristen has talked about Hoopla and like reading comics on there, and that she does her comic book club, which you can join if you want to talk to Kristen and get into the nitty gritty of was this book good or not. I missed comic book club. I should join you guys on Thursdays again. Was it Thursdays? Yeah.
It's only the third Thursday of the month. We only do it once a month.
Third Thursday of the month. There you go. And do you still like get the usuals? Or is it a entirely new group now?
We get usuals, but it's the same 3 people. So And then every once in it used to be like some other people, but then there was a falling out with a boyfriend, and then the friend groups had to pick sides, and then everyone just stopped coming. So
No. Oh my God. Wait.
there's the cheese.
Actually, text it to me later. Text it. Was it someone who I knew?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, then that's fine. You can tell me. Just tell it to me later. But anyways.
Okay.
I actually have the synopsis of Lucha Forever.
Okay.
Once famous wrestler turned failed actor must choose between his craft and providing for his family. Lucha Forever is written by John Aviña with art by Mozart Eros. Guillermo Diaz is a struggling actor and father. Having moved his family from Mexico to Chicago, Guillermo is unable to provide the life he promised. Suddenly, the role of a lifetime becomes available, but with it, an alien invasion and powers beyond of his imagination. And there's 2 issues out right now on Hoopla, and those were, I think, available since 2024. So hopefully that means that they're working on the other issues to come. But girls, what did you think? I thought it was at the beginning. I was like, okay, am I gonna get into this? You know, it's wrestling. I remember wrestling and all this good stuff, but all of a sudden I just really got into it. It was like really compelling. I really love Guillermo's kind of personality that really comes through in the story in the first issue. And you don't really get to discover much about his sidekick, La Mano. But you really get the sense of kind of like how he was so like popular. Everybody loved him. He was like the favorite wrestler. And all of a sudden, he's down on his luck in LA, and it kind of really feels kind of sad, actually. What did you guys think?
I started liking it once it got more sci-fi.
Yes.
So, because like before that, I mean, we have read a lot of lucha libre or lucha libre adjacent or inspired or themed, and like I get it, it's a very culturally important and relevant, and all of us have like interacted with it at some point, and it does bring up fondness as well. But at the same time, I'm just all like, oh my God, big something else, do something else. But this one, it did do something else.
It did.
Yeah. So I was thoroughly entertained. Maybe not in the beginning, but definitely more towards the later half of the book. I was just all like, oh, okay, I see this. I see where this is going. And but I ended up liking it, especially once it got more like sci-fi. Because before that, I was just all like, I'll just watch a soap opera. I don't need to read my soap opera.
No, definitely. And just to let you guys know, Guillermo's alter ego is King Midas, and we already talked about La Mano, which is his sidekick. But you know what I really like that I didn't mention before? There's a lot of Stallone references during the throughout the comic book, just sprinkled in, and I was like, oh, that's so me, because I grew up with Stallone movies, so all of those little things I actually got and I really enjoyed.
I love all of his movies simply because if you ask my dad who his favorite actor is, because he doesn't really watch movies, but you know what he does watch? Rambo a lot. So I watch Rambo a lot. Right. So his his favorite actor is Sylvester Stallone.
Just so a little fun fact: when I was growing up, I watched Rambo a lot when I was a kid, and I for the beginning of the movie, because I was a kid, I didn't understand why the entire town hated Stallone, and for a minute I thought, are they in Russia? Like for a long time, I thought they were in Russia for some reason, and hated Stallone's character because he fought in the Vietnam War, and he was obviously American. So I just couldn't wrap my head around it when I was a kid. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kristen. What did you think of the comic?
So I actually think that the writer did a very good job of eliciting empathy for Guillermo, because you see him trying to just like grasp with the fingertips the very last of his like recognizability and his stardom, and because he was a big deal in Lucha, and trying to use that to get into acting and or get a new role in acting. And now he's older, so you see he has like gray hair, and he's just kind of very just like downtrodden, and he has so many people who are like trying to like root for him, and his mom is on the phone like, how did it go? And he knows he blew his audition, and he is just like forced to lie to her because he doesn't want to let her know that he's just completely just like a loser. And I felt really bad for him, actually. And even when the sci-fi stuff started happening, he didn't believe in himself because of how long he'd been just like down on his luck and felt like a loser. And so I did appreciate the over the top references and scenes when he was arm wrestling in the bar. But I only read the first issue, but I am interested to know what kind of character development happened in issue number 2, because I was interested. I just didn't have enough Hoopla books to be able to check out a second one. So I'm interested to know, because it did, the first the first issue did get me interested by the end to see what's going on, because if you haven't already guessed, aliens come and invade Earth. Woo! And I
love a good alien story.
He finds himself in a position to be the only one who can save Earth. So, Sarah, what happens in issue 2?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we know that he's kind of one of the things that I felt like really sad was not only did people recognize him as the really famous Mexican luchador, but they also made fun of him because he's no longer that. And that was kind of really sad and part of the development of his character. But we also in issue 2, we find out what happened to La Mano. Not entirely the details, but something did happen to La Mano. And we discover that La Mano has a daughter who is Guillermo's goddaughter. But there's some bad blood there because they are upset at each other. And that actually creates a whole different dynamic to the story. But then there's another villain that's introduced in the story. And we don't want to mention too much, but there's something that happens when he discovers the aliens plan for Earth that has to do with how he's able to fight against the aliens and what helps him to transform his powers to fight against the alien race. But it's not over, because just because they got pummeled the first time doesn't mean that they're going to give up. So that's what you see more in issue 2. And also I really like the fact that the aliens all speak in alien language, so we don't know what they're saying until Guillermo comes he embraces his destiny and is able to actually understand the alien language. So we just read the first episode, and that's what we're reviewing. We don't want to give too much out because it's available on Hoopla, and definitely you can go on the website and find out what other comic books, because they have other comic books available as well. So what is our rating scale, Kristen?
So we rate our books on a scale of 1 to 3 conchas. 3 conchas being the most conchas that Jen's mom ever let her eat in one sitting. So that was the best. And if a book is off our concha chart, then we just give it our own individualized rating. I'll go ahead and get started, and I'm going to give it 2 out of 3 conchas. I did enjoy it. It was a little bit of a slow start, but the character development, I could see all of the groundwork being laid, and would definitely be interested to see what's moving forward. And just like Jen said, Lucha Libre stories can get very tired, and it does seem like it is a lot of the same tropes over and over again. But tell me why we've never seen Lucha and aliens before. This is definitely a big diversion from what we usually see. So for those reasons, I'm going to give it 2 out of 3 conchas.
This is Sarah, and I'm actually going to give it 2.5 conchas because I actually feel like a little bit ahead of it by reading the second issue. But that says a lot about the story. As soon as I finish one issue, I wanted to jump into the next one. So hopefully this means that they have 3, 4, and 5 or whatever else, or how long the series is going to be out there in process. What about you, Jen?
I'm gonna give it 1 concha, simply because I think it took a little too long to get to the part that I liked, but it was like a compelling story. It was interesting, and I think there was like taking away the sci-fi aspect of it, it was still like an interesting story of like a struggling dad trying to like keep his family like up and stuff like that. It's just something that wasn't like super relatable to me, that I was just like, okay, whatever. Uh but I think it is a very important and like relevant story that could go somewhere by itself as well. It just had the added bonus of being sci-fi as well. So it's gonna get 1 concha from me.
All right, guys, I know that's been our book review, but I really want to take the opportunity to talk more about Hoopla. And the Hoopla expert here on our podcast is Kristen. Tell us more about Hoopla, because I just learned about it by actually registering, and I love the heck out of it. So tell us more.
Yes, so Hoopla is one of the multiple different various streaming services that you can utilize from your public library. If you go to your public library, they probably are going to have something, either Hoopla or something like Hoopla. There are other ones like Jen has mentioned before. There's one called Libby. There is one called Comics. I wrote this one down, Comics Plus, which is only comics that you can access through your public library. And Hoopla is the service that the library that I utilize, Santa Monica Public Library, uses. And on Hoopla, there's comics, there's audiobooks, there's ebooks, there's music, there's TV, there is movies. So anything that you usually were able to walk into a library and check out. There's even one that you can do magazines on. You can get through a streaming service, or I don't know if a streaming service is the right term for it, but I guess so, because you can stream some movies and TV shows, like I said, and music. But like, I've gotten into the habit of listening to a different audiobook every couple of weeks, driving back and forth to, like, when I go and work at the comic shop in Fullerton, or even like when I just drive to my PT, I get like 15 minutes in of the book. When I walk, on the days that I walk and don't run, that's about an hour of walking. So I listen to an audiobook, and I've loved it. Like, books that I'm like, oh, I don't have time for books anymore. Now I'm able to get through books that I've wanted to read for a long time. So if you also are like me and had really enjoyed reading at one point, but just feel like you don't have the time to do it anymore, check out Hoopla. And there are many, many, many comics. I was thumbing through them the other day looking for Latinx creators and characters, and I didn't even finish going through the comics. There were just so many, and I've already compiled a huge list. So Hoopla is amazing, and I'm glad that you guys have discovered it.
Yes.
I know you've been talking about it forever, but finally, like, you know, we got a little, I think I got a little cocky having you be have your shop and just like providing the physical books.
Yeah.
And so,
Me too.
you know, but now with Hoopla, I think, I mean, we could even, it's going to be great because people can actually access it as we're reviewing it and check it out.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it's kind of amazing now if people, are interested in the review that we've done and it's a book that is on Hoopla, they can just go on and read it for free, which is one of the reasons why for our book club, we only do books that are available through Hoopla so that we can make sure that everyone has access and there's no reason why anybody can't participate in our book club.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah. Not only that, because it's through the library as well, they can use those statistics as well, and like really like for funding, for
Yes.
for like getting more books interested. So like really driving up the stats and the availability and what is it, the accessibility to a lot more comics and stuff like that, especially if they see an interest or like a spike in interest in these areas as well.
Absolutely. And also, if you want to learn more about this comic creator and other titles, don't forget you can go to comickerpress.com, COMICKERPRESS. And we're also going to put it on our show notes. In case you're driving, listening to us, you could always go back to the show notes and see what we talked about on the podcast. Well, guys, I also found another website called Aviña Comics. That's without the Enya, but I think that's because when you were building the website, you couldn't put the Enya, but that's A-V as in Victor, I-N-A comics.com, where you can find more comic books that explore more of their comic books and their origin story and all this good stuff, and other Kickstarters that they have created for the comic books. So check that out. All right, guys, now it's time for En la Librería. Jen, what do you have for us today?
Okay. So, for En la Librería, I have How to Touch Grass, a comics anthology about touching grass because it's a lot harder than it than it looks. So, internet lingo is for those that know, especially on stuff like freaking like Reddit or even in the comment section of any place that is getting a little too popular. There is something that people say when you've been online too much, or you're like taking something like, I guess, not too seriously, but it's just like you're overreacting on the internet. People will tell you to go touch grass, basically saying like go outside, like interact with the real world,
Right.
like just step away from the screen. But it's like it to me it's always been funny because it is, I think it was a little bit more relatable and a little bit easier to do in the early days of the internet when you didn't have a little internet in the back of your pocket as well, so you could
Right.
be outside,
Yeah.
literally laying on grass in the real world, but then your little internet pocketbook or whatever, your phone, tablet, whatever it is still like readily available. So the story synopsis that they have on here is How to Touch Grass is a comics anthology about connection, isolation, and accessibility, all through the lens of the goofy command to touch grass, balancing humor with sincerity. From the award-winning publisher of Heartwood Non-Binary Tales of Sylvan Fantasy, this adult nonfiction collection brings together personal stories, informative essays, original journalism, foraging recipes, how-to guides, amateur philosophy, and more, all in one massive grass-colored hardcover tome. The front cover is illustration by Anemone, which is Kara Giddens, and title design by Joamette Gil. I know what you're thinking. I already know how to touch grass, but thanks. Think about it for just a second longer. You might realize that you don't actually. Not really. I mean, when was the last time you even did it? Can you even remember when you touch grass? No, that was me adding to it. Then they have some comic previews right here. It says, it's okay if you can't. It's probably not your fault. At least our overlords work hard to ensure we have as few grass-touching opportunities as possible. They wouldn't want us pausing long enough to come up with any bright ideas after all. Touch grass is a fucking funny demand. Yet everything the metaphor represents is deadly serious. Losing touch with our immediate surroundings, our ability and willingness to organize, blurring lines between facts and falsehoods, the decline of public spaces where we can exist outside our homes, the danger of isolation for disabled communities especially, and of course our collective mental health when trapped in online sinkholes. Here's the thing. Even literally touching grass is harder than it sounds when you're overworked, disabled, in car dense areas, or can't afford to leave the house anyway. This collection exists for us to talk about all these things, the problems, the solutions, the obstacles for those solutions, and what's at stake if we keep denying our fingers some of that sweet, sweet green. Touching grass, reconnecting to the realities of the world around us and the direness of our circumstances is the key strategy for securing our collective future. Join us as we boldly go. That's right, outside.
Oh no.
So, they have a mock-up of how the book will look. It's going to be physical and digital copies. It will be a 6x6, a 6x10 trim size hardcover volume packed with 340 pages, plus 340 pages, fully covered within the spectrum of hues found throughout the grass family from cover to cover. Offset printing on matte art quality paper will make this collection as dazzling an object as it is a life-affirming reading experience. And then they put a sample of some of the stories that are going to be inside, which have already been littered throughout the campaign page. And then they get into rewards. So you can always back without expecting an reward. You just want to show support. But the base pledge, the digital copy, starts at $27. It is a DRM-free PDF edition of How to Touch Grass at a reduced price for the duration of the campaign only. Then the hardcover copy is going to be $58. It's going to be a physical hardcover edition of How to Touch Grass, and it also includes the DRM-free PDF edition at no additional cost. So there is a local pickup option as well, so you can go pick it up. You won't be paying for shipping. That is just a flat $58, but this is set in Portland, Oregon, so unless you can get there, there is that. Then there's the full digital library, which is $88. And this includes a DRM-free digital edition of every English language title of the P&M Press catalog to date, which includes Mañana, which is one that we have shouted out before and is incredibly great. And then it keeps going on up from there. TBH, a lot of these, the early bird special is over and done with. They are looking. They have a goal of $69,699.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. So it is currently at $10,044 with 164 backers and 20 days to go. It's very, very ambitious, but a lot of their previous stuff has been ambitious in the past before, and they've successfully done it. Joamette Gil, who is the person who is they're a queer Afro-Cuban cartoonist and a one-man show known as Power and Magic Press. So they did Mañana, Power and Magic, the Queer Witch Comics Anthologies, Volumes 1 and 2, Heartwood, Non-Binary Tales of Sylvian Fantasy, Immortal Souls, the next Queer Witch Comics Anthology. So all of these, they've been successful. They've all met their goal and stuff like that. And I'm trying to remember what... I think you can just go and see. No, I can't remember what. They had a goal of $49,000 and they went to $75,000 with 1,745 backers. So I think they are very capable of getting it up and off the ground. It's just it is very ambitious, and I hope to shout it out because I think it is important. I mean, it's something that I see online all the time. like, go touch grass. I've told people to go touch grass. People
Nicho
have told
used to
me
say it all the time.
yeah. People have told me to go touch grass, like, both as a joke and also, like, seriously, because I can go down the internet rabbit hole. You won't find me saying slurs at somebody, but I will call them an idiot and a moron online. But it is something that is, and I think it's something that's becoming relevant once again. I keep thinking of Black Forager. The She's a wonderful, like, she does TikToks, but I mostly see her stuff through Instagram. She, like, goes, whatchamacallit, and, like, teaches people about foraging around their, like, local areas, and, like, what's invasive, what's poisonous. And now she has a really fun like, TikTok series called, like, is it poisonous or is it a snack? And she teaches you how to identify, like, edible things that can be mistaken, like, for poisonous, or poisonous things that can be mistaken for edible, like, foraging stuff. So and she has one, like, she has such an incredible following, because a lot of people are interested in this. There has been a loss of connection, I think, with the rise of the digital age, or just, like, the technological era. Like, I can't tell you when was the last time I went to the park. I think it was maybe like a week before my birthday. I went to San Francisco so I could go to where they have the botanical gardens, because I wanted to go to the botanical gardens. And there is one here in San Jose too, but I didn't want to go to that one, even though it's like 2 blocks away from me. But all the other parks that I have been to have been kind of like, one, there's the whole, like, ice raids and everything like that, and how I know they're, like, targeting Latino people, because that is another thing. But two, at least here in San Jose, like, the parks have become where all the homeless people go, because it's the only place that they kind of can go to, which is a sad and a problem in of itself as well. But there is, like, all of these, like, public spaces are becoming so much harder and smaller, as, like, funding, like, the whole attack on the national parks right now through the Trump administration and everything. Like, it's bad.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. But also, you can follow them on Instagram at Power and Magic Press, so you can see all of the other comic books they have worked on, and some of the pages from Go Touch Grass. Is it Go Touch Grass?
No. So
How
you can
to Touch
find
Scratch.
Yes. You can find the campaign on Kickstarter. It is How to Touch Grass. You can just type it in, and definitely show your support. I think it's really cool. I think the artwork is amazing, and I think all the work that they have done before is all really good to look at as well. So, How to Touch Grass.
All right, guys, now it's time for Juntos y Fuertes. Kristen, what do you have for us today?
So today I have something that ties into what we were talking about earlier, and that is how to access books for free through the library. So I already had planned what I was going to talk about today, because there is a Hispanic Heritage Month coming up, and there is another service that I talked about earlier called Comics Plus that is actually highlighting Latino comics. So you can go to Digital Comics. It's a digital comic platform, and they're highlighting 6 incredible Latinx titles, 4 of which we've read and reviewed on our podcast. So, they're doing this through Library Pass, and librarypass.com is a place where they curate high-interest, immersive digital content that helps schools and libraries expand and diversify their collection without breaking their materials budget. They help library-friendly publishers reach avid readers of all ages through 3,500 plus schools and libraries in the U.S. and abroad, leveraging the power of affordable, equitable access to satisfy increasing demands for engaging digital content. They provide readers unlimited access to thousands of digital comics, manga, and picture books exclusively through schools and libraries. So find out to see if your local library has access to Comics Plus. I checked, and unfortunately, Santa Monica didn't seem to have access. I haven't checked my Torrance library yet, but maybe we can find one that allows, here in California, that allows other California residents to join. But for Hispanic Heritage Month, they have highlighted 6 books. So the first one is The Dragon Slayer, which is folk tales from Latin America by Jaime Hernandez. And I had forgotten all about this book, and I remember we said we wanted to read it, and I don't think we ever got any copies in. So we'll have to keep that on our radar, because obviously it's available for free on Comics Plus. The second book that they recommend is Quince, the definitive bilingual edition by Kit Stein-Kellner and Sebastian Kidlechik and Emma Stein-Kellner. And of course, we are big fans of Quince. We do not miss any opportunity to talk about that book. So the third book that they recommend is Puerto Rico Strong, and we've read and reviewed this book. It is an anthology that collects works from a broad range of talented Puerto Rican creators in response to the devastation caused by hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017. The fourth book is Just Another Story, a graphic migration account. And this is a book about the creator, Ernesto, I don't know how, Saeda, who immigrated from El Salvador a decade ago. This is about Carlos. Carlos is ready to finally relive the trauma of his coming to America story. His mother decided to make the trip after years of single parenting, working double shifts for low wages to provide for Carlos, finally taking their toll. So originally Carlos plans to stay home, but in the end he didn't want to leave his mother alone on the journey. So in this journey he has to start kind of coming to terms with how this immigration has affected him and his family. And the fourth is Latina Superheroes Volume 1 by Caden Phoenix. So Volume 1 brings us the stories of Jalisco and Santa, and I think we've read both of those and reviewed them on our podcast. So and then the last is Onion Skin by Edgardo Camacho, and this is a story about Rolando, who is struggling in a dead-end job when he suffers a hand injury, causing a downward spiral to deepen as he becomes a recluse who barely bothers to care for himself or leave the house. Sounds like he needs to touch grass. When his friends convince him to socialize, he meets Nara, a beguiling young woman who lives for adventure. So we read this book, we reviewed this book. I don't remember what episode it was, but I remember we all really enjoyed it. So I am very, very happy to recognize that we pick and review lots of good books on our podcast. So you guys should be listening and checking them out. And look, you can even access them for free on Comics Plus or Hoopla or Libby, if that is the one that you have. So definitely check them out. You guys are all missing out on an opportunity to read more comics.
Absolutely. All right, guys, now it's time for saludos. And saludos goes out today to In the Lab, a podcast on YouTube by Mark C. Dudley. His first episode is ready to listen or watch on YouTube. It's called Bullying in Fandom Spaces. It's an hour long, and I am very excited to actually sit down with my bag of popcorn and check this out. So I'm very excited about this because apparently his first episode has a guest star um, what's her name? Oh gosh, I forgot. Oh, Christy Shen. That's right. Yes. Anyway, it surprises me that
No
she sat
way.
down and was interviewed by this fellow, which I'm very happy that he started his own podcast and it's on YouTube. And I'm very excited to see more of his stuff. And I can't wait to see this first episode. But I'm also excited to see what she has to say because I do remember at WonderCon that Kristen asked Christy if she would come on our show or just talk to us
Yep.
at the convention about her side of the story. You know, about how what she was experiencing, how she felt, what was going on in her mind. Like a free platform to talk about everything. And she said, what did she say, Kristen?
Well, when I asked her if she would be willing to be a guest on our podcast, she said, "About what?"
Exactly. Exactly.
So when I said, "Well, Christy, there's a lot of talk about some things that you have allegedly done with Caps and Caps money, and that must be hard to have those stories being circulated around about you, and I'd love to give you the opportunity to tell your side." Those are my exact words, and she said she'd rather not.
Exactly.
And so now she's going what? The victimization route? I've been bullied.
She's apparently, I mean, it's all in the title, bullying in fandom spaces. So I'm only think, and I did read some of the comments from some people that have watched it, and they're saying that there's a lot of things that are incorrect, incorrectly stated on the episode, but they speak highly of Mark C. Dudley, who is the podcaster on In the Lab on YouTube. So I can't wait to see his skills. I'm sure it's really exciting because a lot of people have
Yes.
spoke very highly about his interviewing style. So I can't wait. And I also am saddened because we did, well, not we, but Kristen did offer the availability here on our show to speak on it, and she declined. But not only declined, but she brushed it off like, I don't know what you're talking about. And that just makes me feel some type of way when she's now on other people's podcasts, spilling some kind of tea.
Actually, what she said was she'd rather not because she has been advised to not talk about the things because
Oh,
there were legal things
Ongoing
happening.
legal.
She said there were legal things happening that she was advised to not speak about it. That's what she said. And so I even ended that conversation with, well, when you are able to speak, you have an open invitation. We'd love to hear your side of the story. And so I am very actually happy to see Mark on all these many platforms as a podcaster. He is a man of color. He's a Black man. I think that the podcast community needs more people of color, needs more perspective from marginalized communities. I think that's amazing. I also want to point out that regardless of the fact that we know that in particular this situation in this case with Christy is multifaceted, many layers. She did in fact commit a crime. There is legitimate bullying that happens in nerdom and fandoms, and it is very serious. We read a book about it last. We read a whole book about it last podcast episode, Weirdo, and so I don't want to downplay that, but I also want to make sure that we understand the difference between holding someone accountable and bullying them, because there's a big difference.
and also, I mean, we've been talking about this subject for some time, and you know, a lot of people know how we feel about it. I think everybody who listens to the show knows how we feel about it. But also, now that this is available out there, I'd like to hear how she is interpreting things on her side. So him having this episode out will give me an insight on where her mind is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it'd be very interesting. So, but again,
Mhm.
as I said, Kristen did offer that availability, but she didn't take it. And now I just would love to hear how she's interpreting everything. And of course, as from the title says, she's interpreting it as bullying. So I'm very interested to sit there and watch it and see what's up. All right, guys, that's been the end of this episode. Where can they find us, Kristen?
You can find us as always at comadresycomics.com, where you can find links to our episodes and links to all of our social media platforms. You can watch us on YouTube at Comadresy Comics Podcast, where you can not only listen to our episodes but watch interviews, sadly not of Christy Shin, but of many amazing creators and comic book people. And I think that we have had such an amazing opportunity to interview some amazing people. So definitely check us out on YouTube. And if you'd like to send us an email, you can contact us at comadresycomics@gmail.com.
Absolutely. And also thank you for those of you who have reached out via Instagram Messenger. Thank you for that. We have a lot of great people coming onto our show for interviews, so we can't wait to share that with you guys. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We have been your host. I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Goodbye, guys.